Well, welcome to another edition of Vegas Badboyz of podcasting. While people are clicking onto their phones and logging on to our live stream, we want to slowly welcome you on. We appreciate you for hanging out with us. Some very sad news to start off. The Raiders lost to the Washington football team 15-17, and it's sad news, but we'll be back next time. So
would you say they got scalped?
Look, let me just say this, man. Boy, how do you say this? As being a Raider fan.
Is that official or unofficial?
Right there, yeah, just shut up right there.
Is that official? Because I got to be honest with you, man. You flip flop between these teams every year.
Whatever. Anyway, hey, that's enough time for everybody to be on. Welcome to Vegas Badboyz of podcasting. I'm DJ Impact, and we got Matt Michaels here. And believe it or not, that is not Sin City Steve. It is Simon Street. Simon Street, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, man, glad to see you. And we don't have Sin City tonight. He'll be back probably next week or whenever. So, man, it's great to see everybody that is here, and we got to kick off everything with War Games, which just ended. Man, good stuff as always, right? I mean, War Games never disappoints at all, and I went into it going, wow. I mean, the women kicked it off. I'm like, I don't know how the guys are going to top this. And of course, they figured out a way to top it. Let's start from the top. You had the new school versus the old school, and the new school did come out on top there. But did anybody really shine to you guys that really took the spotlight in this match for, I would say, the new school that you saw? Anybody that really shined? I say Grayson Waller, man. I do. A couple of things from him. First, of course, coming off from the top of the ring gate, whatever.
The cage.
The cage, yes. Couldn't think of it. All I saw was a gate, and I'm like, is it a gate? No, it's a cage. Thank you, Matt, for jumping off the cage. And so that was crazy. And then at one point, he has a trash can that's over him, and he's getting knocked down and taking lots of hits and bumps on there. So to me, I mean, he really shined, because we already know what Braun Breaker can do, and he did exactly what we know he could do. And I mean, Carmelo Hayes showed up. But let me just ask you two, either one, any really breakout guys in the new school during this match?
I guess I'll go. Definitely Braun Breaker, but also too Carmelo Hayes. I know in recent weeks he really has kind of stepped up, his heel persona. I mean, and it just definitely showed here. I mean, he was just really getting in the particular spot that I'm speaking about is toward the end, when you had Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa kind of what I'd like to call a little bit, I don't know if they planned it, and probably people listening may not know what I'm talking about, but if you watch Dragon Ball Z, there's a part where Goku grabs this bad guy, and then there's this character that basically shoots through him, and he sacrifices himself to get the job done. They were trying to do as such. Before that happened, that feedback is pretty bad. Before that happened, basically, Carmelo was just able to kind of read the situation, and, he did everything from low blow to Tommaso Ciampa, and, anything goes. He pulled the ref off. There's a whole bunch of things that he did. I feel like he definitely shined in addition to Breaker out of those two. I mean, Waller did good too, like you mentioned, Impact, but
yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I went into watching this, and because I watch NXT, I was more of the Golden Black. That was the team that I was repping, and the young boys in Team 2.0, stepped it up, and I liked how in the promo that Carmelo said, he said, "Look, y'all have accomplished everything, and we want it." You know, and that's that, and that was the story that was told. So a big shout out to them. It seems like NXT is in good hands with the new generation. I still don't like the look. I feel like NXT is like a butterface. Everything looks good, butterface, but but the content is still good.
So what don't you like?
I don't like the color. I don't like the aesthetic. The aesthetic looks like shit. That's just my opinion.
Do you understand though why it's that color?
Of course, because it has nothing to do with my generation, which is cool.
No. Do you understand now why it's that color?
I have no idea. Please enroll me.
Ron Breaker.
The whole NXT change.
Look at his fucking trunks.
Well, I know that.
Look at his trunk. No, don't give me the shit. Just look at his trunks, and you know right
exactly
there.
The same. Okay, so what
you're the same fucking thing. Okay. They made him the brand.
Okay, so my question is this: if they made him the brand, let's go with your little theory. Okay, that has to be a big ass decision. All right, for WWE or NXT to go with one particular person, have it be a standout. Now, that's the male side. Who would you say the female side is for that brand? Please don't tell me Mandy Rose.
I don't think that they give a shit about who the female side is. It's designed after the guy who is going to be the eventual WWE fucking, he's the next, your Cena, your Roman Reigns. He's your guy. That's it. Hands in.
All in.
They
push
on one guy. All their fucking chips in on them.
Well, all right. Well, hopefully they're not bluffing like we saw in NXT this past last couple of weeks with which coming up I want to talk about is that what y'all think of the hair versus hair match. I always like a hair versus hair match. How did y'all feel about that? Cameron Grimes and can't think of his name off the top of my head because I'm not familiar with him. Duke Hudson. I thought it was a good match.
Yeah, I don't understand what your premise was going into that, though.
Well, what my premise is when you looked back before the match, they talked about the ongoing struggle between these two before the hair versus hair match on War Games, and there was a part where they were playing poker, and Cameron Grimes said I'm going all in, and Duke folded, and it was just trying to make a play on words, Michaels. I'm sorry if it didn't really make sense to you, but that's okay. But hey, Simon Street is back, and if I could just get in 2 inches under your skin, mission accomplished every time.
It ain't under my skin. It's just a waste of breath. That's all. Cool.
But it's okay if I'm blowing on you.
Oh man. All right. Before I jump over to the Cameron Grimes and Duke Hudson, just to kind of sum up. Shout out to the new school though. They did their thing. I think the majority of everyone in the arena was looked like they were going for the old school. And of course, that would make more sense. We have a lot more history with a lot of the characters there, the talent there, I should say. And, it makes sense for the new school to win. But and at one point, I love how they ended it. With Tommaso and with Johnny, of course, teaming up to back in their DIY days and about to get that count on Braun. It almost looked like it was about to happen, and it was just great to see that. Carmelo saved it. Good stuff overall.
They weren't going to let an AEW guy get a fucking pin. For all intended purposes, Gargano's contract is done, so he's out of there.
You think he's going to go to AEW? And in all honesty, do you think he's going to go to AEW? Has that been confirmed? Because I haven't seen anything. So,
what do you think? What do you think that Moneybags there, who wants to be pals with everyone, isn't going to offer him a contract? And he's got a kid on the way, so he ain't going to Impact because they can't give him that kind of money. Heath has already taken that money from Impact. He's got all those kids, so no kid money to go around.
Cameron Grimes and Duke Hudson hair versus hair match. I will tell you, Matt, you actually did get that one wrong because you kind of thought that it was definitely going to be Cameron that was going to get that hair chopped off, but it was kind of cool how it came out all together. Yeah, I for some reason thought, well, they done already chopped half of his hair, Cameron's hair off. They might as well just get rid of the rest. So I kind of thought that was kind of, but you know what? I guess that's the psychology of wrestling, right? Someone who was writing going, they're probably going to think that Cameron's going to cut the rest of his hair off. Let's just go ahead and swerve him. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, think about it though. There wasn't much of anything swerved tonight, to be honest.
Well, no, I get that, but I'm just saying the idea of the way they thought people were most likely thought that was going to end, they kind of flipped that around.
So
that
remember,
was the whole purpose.
No, I get that. But listen, but what I'm saying is, for example, we all kind of knew the idea that the new school was going to win. Who did not know that? You know, yes, there were fans that wanted the old school, but it was almost given the new school. With Cameron Grimes, it was said that he most likely was going to be the one that was going to get his hair. And of course, we've seen that leading up to that, it didn't happen. So I'm just kind of showing you
well, but also don't forget, you did point out right there, if it usually happens beforehand, then it probably won't happen again. They're not going to cut some of his hair to then eventually just cut all of his hair. At that point,
it wouldn't have made sense to cut it partially in the first place.
Right. So they would have kept that hair long to really give it the exaggeration. But even more so with the hair versus hair match, almost every single time, it's always the heel that loses the match. Because it makes no sense to cut your baby face's hair. The only reason that the assumption was on Cameron Grimes is because of the rumble out there that that the Office wanted to change his look. But that's it. If you look at the way the story was told, it made sense.
Got you.
It was a good match too. I found it to be very entertaining. I mean, like it was something that when I immediately looked at the card, it wasn't the top on my list. But after watching it, I would put it as my third most entertaining match of the night for me. It was definitely, I feel, more entertaining than the Intercontinental Championship match. For me, I thought it was more entertaining. I know a lot of people might disagree.
Yeah, I think everyone would disagree, considering there wasn't an Intercontinental match on the fucking.
Well, not Intercontinental, my bad. Cruiserweight. Good call. Cruiserweight. I mean, Cruiserweight. Yeah, the Cruiserweight was a little lackluster.
You know what? Just because you're so great, Simon, with just ending one segment, going right to the next one, let's just go right into the Cruiserweight. So, Roderick Strong versus Joe Gacy.
Next.
Oh wow.
There's not much to say. Yeah. I mean, Gacy, I see something in him a little bit when I watch him in weeks prior.
Yeah, about 45 pounds of turkey from Thanksgiving.
But here's the thing, though. It's funny. It's funny you say that, though. I like the fact that he uses that in a lot of his promo, like weight shaming. He always talks about the weight shaming and how he wants to bring in, inclusivity and everything. And it's like, I feel like I'm interested, but then as I watch him more, I just decline and really just don't care. And so I kind of was like it with this match. Like I was a little excited, but then I was like, I really don't care. And I just kind of went and got my eggnog and wild turkey and started getting stuff together for work the next day on that match. Be honest.
He's still green. He's very green.
Yeah. Well, at least in terms of his promo, he's trying in that level. He seems to be a little.
That's why he's getting the match.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Consistent.
Wait, say that again?
He's consistently dull.
Oh. All right. Well, how about we go into Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner versus Imperium. And of course, that's for the NXT tag titles. Again, Wagner really showed up. I mean, I maybe he's just one of the guys, I guess, a part of Imperium that I see the whole group as, I look at the whole group as one. Most of the time, they're both kind of equal in terms of what they do. But tonight, he the one that kind of showed out the most.
Who did?
Wagner?
Is his name Eichner or is it something else?
I'm
Eichner.
talking about Eichner. Yeah.
Eichner, yeah.
It sounded like you said Wagner.
That's what we thought you said.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Eichner, yeah.
Okay.
From Imperial. So
Imperium.
So a few things. I mean, I'm always impressed when I see anybody, and it doesn't matter what promotion they went, but whenever they could do the whole jump on one part of the rope onto the other part and then flip over, I'm just always wowed by that. And he did that tonight. He did another one where he literally just ran to the side and ran up the second rope, the third rope, and another flip. And I'm like, dude, I mean, he just really showed out tonight. I mean, props to him. What would you guys take over on this particular match? And of course, the ending. What's your take? Go ahead.
It's Kyle O'Reilly's goodbye too. Essentially, he'll have that
Mhm.
cage match on Wednesday or on Tuesday. And then most likely he's gone. So another AEW person. Tony gonna be writing checks and seeing some of his talent go away when the contracts run out in the coming year or so.
Yeah.
I always imagine Tony Khan when he's doing these checks around the holiday season, singing "Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow," and just bags of Coke falling from the sky.
Oh, Jesus. Anyway, yeah, the match, I thought it still turned out to be really good. You had Vaughn looked like he was going to attack Kyle at the very end. And of course, Kyle was ready for that. And by the way, did he throw up the undisputed sign?
Yeah.
He did. That was okay. Because I was like, why you throw that up? Outside of, you said, why not? I mean, outside of almost saying, I'm gonna go be with the boys, it's just kind of weird to throw it up. I mean, there's no more undisputed era there.
His backstage follow-up made sense though.
It did, yeah, it did.
That's the reason. Like, I've been here forever. Why the hell would you think that you were gonna mess with someone who's,
Sure.
So yeah, but no, what else do you think? Unless they sign him to a big contract, which they're not going to, then why not do that kind of shit on your way out?
Right.
I think we all kind of saw the writing on the wall with Kyle O'Reilly, just in general. Once Undisputed Era kind of dissolved out, he tried his singles run. It was okay, but it wasn't a big splash. And we knew once his contract was up, that's it. He gonna go to AEW, and that's gonna be the end of it. And so you're gonna have 3 of the 4 members of Undisputed at AEW. Highly doubt Matt's gonna go over.
I know that we it's been mentioned now twice about the idea of Johnny Gargano and Kyle O'Reilly going over. We're going to talk a little bit more about this on our 3 count, which if you're listening to us live tonight, you will be able to hear it. But if you're listening to the podcast that's released this Monday, make sure you listen to the podcast tomorrow, which will be released Tuesday. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that because I got some thoughts about that. So I want you to make sure you listen to that, especially when we get to that segment. We had the women's part of the War Games, Toxic Attraction, and along with Dakota Kai versus Io Shirai, Cora Jade, Raquel Gonzalez, and Kayla Ray. First off, I had no idea that Cora Jade was only 20 years old. I didn't know she was that young.
Maybe.
Yeah. But let me tell you, if she's not really hurt, she played the shit out of that entire match. Like seriously. I mean, I was trying to figure out, really, she really? Well, maybe she isn't, and then I kind of saw how she landed, and it seemed like the right shoulder landed more on the table than the left, which is the one.
It wasn't the table. It was the way that her the shoulder came down, her left shoulder came down on the mat, not the actual table. You saw the table because that's what you were seeing first.
Yeah.
So her right shoulder was taking the table, but her left shoulder then came down onto the mat. Could easily have popped it out, but it also could have been easily a spot in which that was, they planned, hey, this is what you're gonna do.
And like I say, I could not figure it out. But no matter what, it made the storyline work overall. I mean, she got the pin at the very end.
That was the whole purpose of it. I knew it was a work immediately when Io Shirai was stopping everybody from getting her ass, and she was going to just pop this shoulder back in the most awkward of ways. I've never seen anybody pop someone's shoulder in there. I was like, it was a work.
But even with that though, Simon, I would say like in most cases, even when you pop that back in, you're kind of at least will act like, okay, my arm is back to working. She still was playing it that it was injured still all the way to the point.
Still working with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the way to the end.
Bro, have you ever had a shoulder pop out?
I have.
I've had it pop out from the ring, and what she was doing wasn't. That's exactly what you'd be doing. That arm it's not working.
You're just doing this most of the time with your hands and trying to get it going back. It doesn't. You don't immediately go back into a match. So she played it well.
Yeah,
I just knew it was a work when Io Shirai came in talking about, oh, hold on, I'm experienced in this. Like that would have never happened if it was real.
So even if your arm is popped back in, it still won't work. Not at that moment.
Yeah, not necessarily. Like, let's put it this way. So if you're using two hands to swing the kendo stick, you're not going to be using two hands to swing the kendo stick, unless you're just one of those people who's super like, I can just deal with pain to 100% of the max. Mm-hmm. So there, I mean, that's how it is when it pops out. Now here's the thing though, with Shirai popping it back in,
mm-hmm.
She couldn't leave the cage.
Right. Yeah.
That was the problem.
Yeah.
So the question is it a work or is it a shoot? Because of that fact. So, and honestly, when your shoulder's out, and Simon, you said you had to pop out. The last thing you want is it for it to stay out for a while. Just pop the fucking thing back.
Get it over with. Get over with.
Yes, please. So,
and you don't want it to pop out again.
Right. Exactly. So, I
guess you end up knowing more when you watch the show on Tuesday, or if you follow all the social media and stuff. But nevertheless, work or not, I mean, it still turned out really good. And shout out to Raquel actually putting Dakota in a trash can all the way in. Okay.
She did that twice.
Only thing that was missing was the cover. She just put the cover on the trash can.
But on top of that, the more impressive part of that was the fact that she was able to swing that garbage can around.
Right.
I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Taking out the garbage. I will say with this, because I know you had asked a similar question with the gentleman who kind of stood out in the women. Mm-hmm. So I'll go ahead and answer that as far as my impressions. I would definitely say Gigi Dolan really looked strong in that. And that's just my opinion. Yeah. She looked really comfortable in there. She looked really strong. She seemed like this was her own playground. I believe this was her first time in NXT in this type of a match. She looked really good. Who else looked really good? Of course, Dakota Kai did really good to kind of start off the match a little bit. It wasn't uninteresting. We'll say that. The one person I felt out of, Team Toxic, where the two people that kind of fell short was Mandy Rose, which I've never been convinced is her as a NXT champion. It's just WWE's attempt to find a way to make her relevant, but that's just my opinion. And then I felt like JC Jane was a little bit lacking a little bit. You know what I mean? I felt like the rest of her team, they were really doing well. They looked comfortable. She seemed like she struggled a little bit. I don't know if you guys felt the same way when you watched it. And as far as Raquel's team, the one person that really did amazing and she looks super comfortable and she has done these matches before is Kayla Ray. Or maybe not a War Games match, but she's done cage matches before. Kayla Ray did amazing. And I've said even from when she was on NXT UK, I know eventually one day if she makes it this far where she is now, she's going to be amazing. Like really amazing. Even if they moved her up to the main roster, I could see her having a presence. How big, I don't know, but she definitely would fit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the women's match, man, was a great way to start off War Games, and I mean, it was just impressive to see all that. It's amazing how Io is a part of that, since she's been in the company, and it seems like she's just at some point you just be like, I don't know if I want to be in this one. She's about to, you saw at one point she had the trash can in her hand going back up. I'm like, no, don't do it.
I thought she was gonna put it on her head and jump off again. I was like,
right,
girl.
I'm like, Io, you're just too much, man. She's a rider for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was unless I missed anything, that was War Games, overall a great pay-per-view event. And what's funny, going into it, I was wondering how they were going to put that second ring in there, because when you watch the show, it's pretty tight, and I was thinking, how were they going to get that other ring? But they made a way how they did it. So shout out to that whole setup. And it looked like they promoted the next one being NXT New Year's Evil, which would be on the 4th.
I think it's the second one, if I'm not mistaken. I know they did it last year, New Year's Evil.
Yeah.
So this, I think, would be the second annual.
And actually, the promo was that. Did you think the promo was pretty interesting when they showed everybody? They showed the crowd, the fans, and it zoomed right into Mandy. That was kind of, I mean, you might not like her, but they invested in her, man. They trying to pump her up, So.
Well, I will say this, with WWE pumping Mandy Rose up, she's not all half bad. I just feel like she hasn't found her niche. I just don't. I don't see her that relevant. I do see her as a presence, but maybe it's the same way I feel about Carmella. I feel like there are certain people that are better in teams. So she does do well with Gigi and Jade and Jane, but her on her own, I just don't feel it. And I probably never will. So good luck, WWE. Try and make the shit work.
Well, and maybe that's the reason why they have her on a team at the moment.
By the way, how dare you even compare her to Carmella?
Oh, yes, please. Enlighten me, young Seth.
No, it's simple. At least Mandy Rose can look like she's a wrestler.
This is true. And she doesn't have to cover her face with a sparkling baloney mask.
Oh, man. All right. That was NXT, guys. Let's roll right into Raw. We're going to combine our Raw and SmackDown shows. But for Raw, Seth Rollins kicked it off, and he was excited because he had a little secret to tell everyone that he was going to fight against Big E for the title at day one. That was kind of how that started off, but that's not kind of how it ended. And that was pretty good how they put all that together. Yeah, what's your guys' take on Raw? Anything there? I mean, even starting off from how that started to how that ended and everything in between.
First and foremost, I love that coat that Seth Rollins was wearing. Like, I would never wear no shit like that. But if I ever was bold enough to it, that's the shit I would wear. That shit was on point. As far as like Raw, man, I actually did watch it on Monday, so I'm trying to recall back if there was anything that stood out. But as like most of the time we say, there wasn't too much that stood out.
Well, Raw for me, so just so everyone know, I kind of cheat because I watch a lot of the shows the day of or the day before we shoot our podcast.
Is that cheating?
It's not cheating. It's you have a DVR. It's okay, man.
Yeah, well, that's not cheating. That's being fresh.
Yeah, but just so that we don't have these, man, I forgot what happened 7 days ago.
We should be writing shit down.
Well, I'm not saying I did forget really. I'm just being honest, and there wasn't too much that stood out.
I mean,
just being
overall, I
honest.
thought Raw was pretty good. I thought they ran a good storyline with Seth and Kevin Owens, and that whole thing was just great. I mean,
Oh yeah, that was it. That was the one thing that stood out. How Kevin Owens was really slick in using mind games and telling Seth at the beginning, "Hey man, I'm going to be in a match with Big E, and if I win, it's going to be our match. So until I win, it's going to be our match." Knowing that Seth would be a little punk and go and cry about it, and it ends up happening. That to me stood out. Other than that, there wasn't. It was just Raw, and I felt bad because I was hoping might be something more going into what the next big event is day one.
Yeah, we still got a month. So going into, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Well, that's what they presented in the whole show. They kept always talking, alluding to day one, this match, day one. Did they say that?
Yeah, but it's not going into. Now, if it was the fucking Raw before the show, then that's going into. You still got a fucking full month of buildup. So, easy your jets. This isn't, it isn't fully set up.
Oh, my bad. Potato.
Yeah, well, your potatoes up your potato hole. So,
Well, hey, I'm just trying to be like you. If I could fit 2 potatoes like you, then I'll be doing
yeah,
something
okay.
good.
So Edge's return to Raw and the interruption by The Miz was very interesting to see that might be where we're going with Edge and Miz.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a history there, because I think Miz started right as Edge had to retire. So
he got out of tag team. He started his solo from when Edge retired the first time.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, guys, just make sure.
Like, making sure that in terms of having those two wrestle each other, I don't think that they've really faced each other ever. So it's an interesting setup.
Now I have a question. Okay, so with that whole thing happening, Maurice comes out. All right, we're assuming she will be ringside when that match goes to that play. We do know that Beth Phoenix is no longer going to be on commentary at NXT. That has been official. So do you think that we may see a Beth Phoenix appearance if that match goes down, or is that just a little bit too much?
It depends how far. I mean, it's far out right now. Yeah. If you, I mean, honestly, you probably save that for WrestleMania to have the mixed tag between the two couples. I don't see why you wouldn't do it at Mania, but that's why I say it's kind of odd though, because it's so far out. You could see that potentially happen at the Rumble, possibly, or day one.
The cool thing I will say about that, we to our knowledge, they've never had a match together. But one thing I can't expect out of both Edge and The Miz is there's going to be some really good promos. Edge already is top of his game as far as any promo he ever delivers. They're on fire. And The Miz is really good too. So, I mean, hopefully they'll build something really strong together, and we might see some really good promo packages.
I want to go out on a ledge and probably say that Edge, in terms of promos in the industry of all time, and that's going to be very difficult. That could be a controversial statement, but I definitely would, however we do it, it would have to be in the top 5. And I don't even know how far within that 5, because hands down, The Rock to me is going to be number 1. But Edge is not just far off from that. I mean, his delivery is just, this is on point. It's where I would be trying to think up what the next thing to say. With him, it's almost as if it's just all built in. He just already know. It's not, it's not memorized, but it just seems like it just comes out. It just comes out without even thinking about it, which is great. And I think that's what makes, Edge promos just, I mean, to just hit when he made the point of saying, you got people on other shows saying your name just to get a cheap reaction. Like, okay, I'm sure that was something that was talked about that was going to be said, but the way he said it didn't sound like that was something that was planned. It sounded like it was just something he just was just coming off the dome right there and said it, you know, and it was a great line.
That's what I said. I mean, with the both of them, you're really going to see a lot of that, and they have really good reactionary, like they really know how to. Their improvisational skills are really, really good. And like I said, I don't know who's going to strike first with a powerful promo, but whoever delivers up the afterwards, that's going to be hot too. So they build it? Hell yeah. Will the match be great? Possibly. I don't know. It better be hard hitting, because I feel that Edge does better when it's really like a hard hitting affair, kind of like what we saw with him and Seth in the match that he had at Survivor Series.
Well, I don't think Miz really ever puts on horrible matches.
No.
So if it would be a great match overall if that's where it comes to. So we'll see.
Miz bleed.
Well, maybe you'll get your wish, man. Vince and Austin Aries hanging out again. Matt, are you kind of liking that? I'm sorry, not Austin.
They signed him again? Oh my gosh. You mean Vince's adopted son, Austin Theory?
Yeah. Yeah.
He was teaching him some very good lessons. Wouldn't you say, Matt?
I think it's fabulous. And I think Austin Theory is got everything that you need to be, what they need. Listen, Austin Theory probably in Vince's eyes is John Cena. Very similar body type,
Mm-hmm.
So, that's what we're looking at. Your future in this company are guys like Austin Theory and Braun Breaker. That's what you're going to be seeing 10 years from now. Those are going to be the established guys.
I don't have a problem with Austin Theory. And if y'all guys remember, before I took my little break, I was kind of really critical on Austin Theory when he was in NXT. I don't like him being dumb, playing the dumb guy, but I like him being just overly confident asshole. And that's what he is. I don't know. That's just that more of my cup of tea, me seeing him that way. But
it's because you're jealous of anyone who's playing the idiot, because you do it better than anyone else.
Oh, and here I thought you didn't love me or miss me. I give you a kiss over across the screen, Matt.
Oh man.
But that exchange between him and Vince McMahon was really, really cool. The reason why I liked it a lot is, even though I was able to guess what was going to happen when Vince was saying sometimes you have to expect the unexpected, I was thinking to myself, like, okay, he's going to punch him, or he's going to have somebody punch his ass. But he slapped him, and it looked really, I don't know, it was just exactly what I wanted to see. I like that type of Vince McMahon. You know what I mean? I like it better than him coloring his hair. We know that shit is snowy white. But, it was really cool. And you're right, Matt. Austin Theory is going to be the future of WWE. I have no problem with it.
He's definitely.
If he was, I'm thinking if you're hanging out with Vince, that automatically kind of shows you that there is some interest there.
Yeah, until he's released next week.
Oh boy. Now that would just be a head scratcher.
But there's no more rhyme or reason or logic to releases. So yeah, this looks promising and it should be this way. And then all we know, he gets released right after WrestleMania, and you go, what the fuck happened with that? So
right. Yeah. We had a Raw women's contract signing that was between Becky and Liv Morgan. And, shout out to Liv. For starters, I would say that it, her promos are pretty good as well. Look like she's gotten better and on that over time. And I know fans are cheering. And,
wait. Gotten better over time? You mean she's gotten promos now? Because she really didn't get shit before, if you think about it.
That's true.
I will say this. It was really cool how, because I don't want to say I don't think that Liv Morgan was capable of doing it smoothly, but I was very happy to see that she did. How she slipped in to Becky Lynch talking about something to the effect, well, you're the reason why I lost all my friends. Like, I thought, okay, all right, I get you on that. Like things like that, I like that to see in promos. I'm not saying that that's any correlation to the actual truth. That probably may be far from the truth, but it was something enough to, I think the audience heard that and was kind of like, ooh. And I hope that they take the opportunity to kind of maybe build on points like that, because I think whenever you're be able to throw digs like that, you know, the average wrestling fan would wish that they think is reality. Because, you know, let's be honest, us wrestling fans, we love to think shit is real when it really ain't.
Yeah, but are you thinking reality, or are you thinking, oh my God, it's a war between AEW and WWE?
What are we talking about? Are we talking about how fans are all in on a war between AEW and WWE?
Yeah,
How that's
those
crazy.
are the only ones who are, yeah, those are the only ones who are saying shit, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, those are most of the fans that are, those type of fans are going to be like that, because for them, it's like gossip, you know, it's like gossip candy. They love it. They can't get enough of it, you know, but I'm saying, like, I felt like that dig, if they do more with that, I felt like that kind of had me like, maybe some other people felt that way. So she handled herself very well in that. She didn't seem uncomfortable, you know, given somebody that, as Matt alluded to, she has not had opportunities to really have promos, especially like with Becky Lynch, who's really good at it. So kudos to her.
Well, you know, she had mentioned, hey, you know, my friends aren't here because of your big contract.
There you go.
But what was great about Becky's line, I was like, oh boy, that's a little bit too truthful. She said, some of us deserve to get paid, you know, big contracts. I'm like, oh, easy there, easy, you know. But
And
my
that's
point, it builds to it.
yeah, but you also made one point though that is what DJ really is shining a light on. That is, okay, that was the bigger line, the fact that she gets paid all this money, but you picked up on the smaller line, which is what all the fucking marks pick up on. Oh, they're sending shade to AEW. Uh-oh. Because not only did you mention that, but you mentioned it in Edge's promo too. So the two things that stuck out for you was the stuff that is the war stuff that people want between AEW and WWE.
Well, that may be true from your perspective, but that wasn't my intent. But I do see the connection that you're stating.
Even if it wasn't your
yeah.
If it
but
wasn't
I see the connection.
Intent, but that's what stands out. Whereas I think DJ made the bigger point, and that is the better line is, well, I'm worth that fucking money.
right.
Because like fucking Sarah Logan, I mean, for God's sakes, okay, whatever. She was never worth it. And Ruby Soho, you know, or Ruby Riot or whatever.
She's working in AEW doing the same line of work she was doing in WWE.
Pretty much.
I mean, it's facts. It is what it is. No, but I think that everybody wins in this case. I think when they're able to kind of mix both of those, and it's something that elicits a response from both, you know, the Super Saiyan marks who want the AEW, WWE war, and other people who are just purely entertained by, you know, the broader statement. You know, those things I think matter. I don't know if we've made it the theme so far with Raw, but we're talking about promos and how they help to really build up and build matches. We're talking about Edge and Seth Rollins. Edge and The Miz, and now we're talking about Liv Morgan and Becky Lynch. You know, I like to see more of that.
You know what's interesting? While you say that, at the same time, isn't it funny that seems to be one of the biggest complaints about WWE programming? Oh, they talk too much. Isn't that funny? It's just funny because yet on the other show, CM Punk and MJF, oh my God, let's let them talk for fucking half an hour.
Yeah,
Chris Jericho hasn't shut up since day one, you know, and it's like, oh no, they can't do any wrong, but oh, God forbid Raw has all these fucking promo segments. Oh, that's horrific.
And I've heard a lot about that. I don't want to go on too much about the subject, but I see your point because I hear a lot of that.
The last thing I mentioned on Raw that was entertaining for me was AJ being blind and couldn't see. AJ Styles. I love that whole thing. That was just great all the way around, and that's the comedy you look for. You know, that's the thing about. That's something I think when you compare both WWE and AEW, I think that's one thing that I don't like with AEW. I don't get the comedy part. I want to laugh. I want to laugh at corniness and jokes and there's things that people say and do in the back and just stuff like that. I mean, that whole gimmick was just entertaining. And even when he was out, sitting next to Corey and looking the wrong way, that type of stuff is just exciting. It's just funny to see that AEW doesn't, to me, get. And so it just makes it the most excitement I get from them has to come from the matches because there's no funny dialogues that they know how to present to you that keep your interest really going. At the most, maybe CM Punk and MJ in their 20-minute rant, but it hadn't been something like that in a long time. That was like, oh,
no,
wow,
you have to admit that, like, when it came to that stuff, really the best thing they did was the musical number.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too.
Okay, yeah.
But that's about it. Everything else is like, but it's funny you say that because there's two things that fans will immediately pick up on. One, if you're an AEW fan, oh my God, I can't believe they're making AJ Styles do this. He's a fucking great wrestler and they're making him be a fucking stooge and doing this blind angle and it's all bullshit. And this is why WWE sucks. Number two, AEW fan, when AJ Styles is asked to do the same thing in AEW. My God, AJ Styles is the best ever. And that was so fucking funny how he played a blind man. So, yeah.
Right.
You know what? I will tell you this with regards to AJ Styles losing his blindness because he, like he said, caught the smoke via a, what he said it was a fire extinguisher, right? I think that Miss Gonzalez actually went with that with her tactic when in War Games because she tried the same way, but those girls didn't seem to be blind at all. So I thought that was kind of funny as she pulled that out. I was like, oh, she must have thought she could blind them like AJ Styles.
Oh man. Well, yeah. So that's pretty much how Raw and of course Kevin Owens did have this match with Big E, and Seth end up getting involved, which he shouldn't have. And now we're gonna have a three-way for day one for the title, so the WWE Championship. So that should be exciting to see how that come about, and we'll see where that goes. SmackDown. It's all about Brock. It's all about Brock Lesnar, right? It was great to. So let me tell you my issue with SmackDown. And it has to do with the fact that, and I think they're doing it on Raw too, but it's just too obvious on SmackDown and it's bothering me. They got to kill that audio track. They have to kill it. It is extreme. They're still running the crowd audio track that they were doing, and it's so loud and it's too obvious. There are just points in the show, and it really happens when promos happen where it's just you just hear it just going on, and it's like, why don't nobody know to at least lower it at the most? And sometimes you can't even hear the commentary with Cole and McAfee because their volume is very low. And then the track is high. I don't know. They just got to fix that. I mean, everything's good with it, but I just hate when it's a constant bad audio track that they use. But I mean, outside of that, man, the show kicked off. Brock was on the show, and man, this is why Sami Zayn, again, the entertainment factor. I mean, everything that they did from the beginning and what they did from the end with just those two, to me, was just gold. Am I wrong on that? Just
I don't
know.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead.
Well, that was your show.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the bookend, that's basically what your show.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Because if we go on as much here on SmackDown as we did as Raw,
Right.
which we shouldn't really have even put that much time into Raw because it wasn't that much standout. But I mean, look, listen, you had Sheamus versus Cesaro. Okay, whatever. Who cares, right? Charlotte Flair had her ring promo where she got the revenge pie in the face from Tony Storm. Okay, fine, that's great. Winner by disqualification, King Woods, in that match that is setting those two up against the Usos for the championship day one. Los Lotharios. Does anyone give a shit about Los Lotharios at this point?
Like roses and roses.
Well, or do we give less of a shit about the Viking Raiders at this point? Because boy, that was a match that was just like, well, who the fuck do I care less about in this one?
For the guitar solo. Let's be real.
Guitar solo.
Wasn't there like a guitar solo? What's the guy that does the guitar all the time? It's with
Rick
Nakamura. Didn't he do their entrance music or something at the end or something like that?
For no fucking reason, they had them as part of this whole thing. That's what I'm saying. It was all a mess. After the match, Boog plays the guitar again with the Viking Raiders and starts dancing with them.
Yeah.
Does anyone really give a shit? Like, that's like your middle of the show. That was everything.
And then Sasha had a match.
Well, that was it. The only other thing that was right after the Brock Lesnar thing at the beginning was Sasha versus Shayna. And Sasha really shouldn't have got the win in that match either, because what are you trying to do with Shayna, for God's sakes? Are you trying to make her a fucking beast, or, so.
I actually, for once, will agree with you on that one. I actually went in thinking that Sasha was meant to lose that, to build up Shayna a little bit.
Or at least make have her keep the something locked into Sasha where she just can't tap out anymore. Something like that.
Why should they do it next week?
Yeah. But I mean, really, that's that was that's everything in between. If you take away the Brock Lesnar stuff, what do you have in that show?
I will tell you this though. I think they said it, and if they didn't say it, I must be hearing things, but it still sounded great in my head. Was Brock Buster instead of like Blockbuster, Brock Buster. That's basically what Friday night was, and I enjoyed the first damn segment of the show because it was the first time I ever thought I would see as close I'll get as Brock Lesnar as a manager. It was great. I love seeing Brock Lesnar's personality come out. Like, even was it like 4 or 5 years ago, he had the boombox in his hand and on his shoulder, he was dancing. I love seeing Brock Lesnar like that. I like this iteration of Brock Lesnar. I like it a lot. When he was coming back, I think I'm telling you guys, I was not interested. I said, I don't want freaking Brock Lesnar back. I'm not in. I like seeing Brock Lesnar like this. I am excited for the day that, if he does happen to be written in that he's going to take the Universal Championship from Roman Reigns, so be it. Probably won't happen, but I'm enjoying what I'm seeing right now. And Sami Zayn is pure delight.
Sammy was, in one way, he says, look, man, let's be real. You're going to have you should help me win, because you're going to have a better chance of getting the title if we end up fighting. Okay, so it's best to go. But on the other hand, you also haven't had a very good record against Roman either. Dude, that is just like great. I mean, and of course, that's what caused this destruction. But dude, it's just, it was, yeah. And you are right about that, man. It was, in between was it was tough. I didn't even have many notes outside of Kofi Kingston's return. And I also put in there that Sonya slapped the shit out of Naomi. I did write that down. I'm actually interested in seeing that. I kind of like how they've been running that back and forth. I don't know what's going to really come out of it, but I'm really liking that whole thing, and I'm ready to see where that goes. But
She's gonna
yeah,
have to take the suit off. She's gonna have to take that suit off. I can't wait for her to take the suit off.
yeah, and then listening to Adam Pearce on FaceTime giving directions. Oh, Jesus. But yeah, man, that was your SmackDown. Of course, everything leading up to day one. Like I say, guys, normally this is a part of the year where everyone's just trying to get through now holiday time. So you're going to probably get all types of shows and things that just not going to make sense. We're just trying to put a show together right now, type deal. So we'll see where it goes from there. Let's jump over into AEW Dynamite. Might as well just go there.
Yeah. Let's go through that really quick. Well, you know what, DJ, in all fairness, let me start off by
I did watch those ones I was telling you about, so I did got a chance to see that. But go ahead, man, kick it off.
Well, no, yeah, we can't start off talking about AEW without talking about, man, that first match was just fucking amazing. It was incredible. First we got to
Cody
see
and Idalos.
Well, hey, Hangman Adam Page made his way out to go on to commentary, and don't forget, JR is out with the cancer going on, so hopefully he's doing well. But that American Dragon, Bryan Danielson versus Allen, 5 Angels. My God, I mean, it was just I would have to give it like 92 stars. Yeah, 92 stars. It was just.
What are you, Meltzer?
Phenomenal. No, but I'm close to Meltzer.
Man, the overall show, so
fucking sucks. It's
yes.
awful.
And I'm going like, yeah, and I'm going, I just don't, and I feel bad because see, then the AEW fans who will listen to us would think that we're just marks for WWE, not seeing what AEW is doing. But dude, did
you just hear what we said about SmackDown?
Like they don't hear that. They're not going to hear that part. They're not going to hear that. It's going to hear the attack on their show, because we should be celebrating the idea that we saw Sting and Billy Gunn go head up.
That was entertaining. I think the most entertaining thing of the night was Brandy coming out, lighting the table on fire, and Cody Rhodes burnt more of himself than anybody else.
Yeah, we can get there in a second.
Right.
As soon as we get through the fact that everything else on the show was shit.
Yeah, I mean,
CM Punk who can't lose the match, and Bryan Danielson who can't lose a match.
Right.
So there's your first hour of your show.
And then going back to the TBS Championship,
do we have to?
Again, we talked about like what did Ruby? I sat there a lot of times looking at them, and everything was just holds, like they're holding. There was nothing going on in the ring for that entire 10 minutes of a match, if that's what you want to call it. And I'm just kind of like, okay, give me something. At least, if it was Thunder Rosa, we get a little bit something more in the ring. But with them two, it was just kind of like nothing was happening.
Let me, okay. So I like to kind of just look at some random websites' notes so I know what the matches were to refresh my memory.
Gotcha.
And this one I just happened to grab was WrestleView.com is the website, and this was done by Josh Boutwell. And so you absolutely were hitting on something with that match, right? This is what this guy said about that match. He gives star ratings.
Okay.
That was Soho's best match in AEW. She looked really good, and Statlander is as excellent as always. they really made it clear these two were on equal footing. 4 stars.
So what am I not seeing? Because I saw something completely different. And it wasn't a great match.
Statlander, I like, but I mean, she's not great. And, Ruby is very good, but let's face it, she's probably going to beat Nyla. And then she'll probably lose to Jade. And you would hope that they go with Rosa versus Ruby, because at least that would be 2 capable people. But you're going to probably see Jade beat Thunder Rosa and then beat Ruby to win this title, just because they're pushing this person who is green as shit and is someone that they want to build. But it just, there's a lot of shit going on, man. It's so frustrating.
There was I think Warlow had a match, and it was like against who and why and what's the purpose. I I tried, dude. I swear I tried. I really do sit there and go, okay, I remove all of my thoughts going in, and I say, okay, let me watch this, and I pretend like I'm one of the fans. I'm looking, and I just find myself just.
Here's your logic, and you want to know why they had that match. So remember, MJF had the war of words after Punk's match, and as Punk went down the ramp, Warlord came out there, and Wardlow was standing between Punk and MJF,
right? Which
is insinuating that we're going to see Punk versus Wardlow.
Right.
So what they decided to do is give AC Adams, who fucking knows who AC Adams is.
Right.
Okay. Lord no.
Right.
But you had Wardlow take him on with Shawn Spears in Wardlow's corner because he needs him.
Yeah.
And this describes it perfectly. This was the whole match described. This is it. Wardlow destroys Adams immediately with a lariat and 4 consecutive power bombs for the pin. And then Spears comes in after the match and destroys Adams with a chair. So that's your whole segment. The Spears thing makes no sense at all. The Wardlow thing only makes sense in the fact that they want to build him up so that Punk can beat him. So
now, once again, that don't make sense.
Exactly.
I can't, man. I try. I'm gonna keep trying, guys. I'm not giving up.
Oh, can we? I mean, again, talk about fucking stuff that really makes no sense. Is we see Tony Nese for weeks,
right?
And then we immediately put him in with Sammy Guevara, and he loses on Rampage. So why is this guy even, again, it's like, bring him in, have him lose. And then, that shows that we're building our guys, but it's like, why did Sammy Guevara, what did that do for Sammy Guevara? He beat a guy that, by the way, which is really the thing that I think no one in AEW understands, is that to anyone watching who never watches WWE or who didn't watch NXT or 205 Live, who the fuck is Tony Nese?
Right. Yeah.
But all these marks all get excited because they're in the know. They know who this guy is. Well, guess what you're not doing? You're not growing a fan base because you're not introducing these people.
I'll even tell you this.
No, I was going to say that's just it. I mean, we need to just be honest and look at AEW as this is the brand for everybody that's a smart. Just be honest with you. Like majority of people, and it's not to be insult. I'm just being honest.
No, because the numbers are showing that is exactly it. It's the problem, and again, it's like they should be over 1 million every week, right? Mm-hmm. The problem is is that they are pretty much for the last 2 years now an established 750,000 viewer show. And that's your, you take your highs and lows of numbers, that's about what you're averaging. So you're not growing your fan base. How is this product going to be around in 5 years?
So then then last week's show, you have Dante Martin signed with Taz, right? Then in this past week's show, while Leo Rush is talking, he comes out, just looks at him next to Ricky Starks, and that was it. That's the whole thing. Like, there's no explanation. If anything, Dante Martin should have the mic and say, Leo, let me tell you the reason why I didn't go with you. Because these guys, because this, because that, some explanation to put something between there. There was nothing. He just came, looked at him. Ricky came, and then they went back to the back. Like, that was the end of that whole promo. What did I just see?
But that is I said that long time ago. I feel like that is really what's missing in AEW. And like I said before, I want to like AEW. But every time I watch it, if I miss a week, I don't know what the fuck's happening. There's 2 whole fucking shows I got to watch. Do you see what I'm saying? There's no correlation. There's no consistent narrative. There's no way for me to get caught up. I feel like it's like Battlestar Galactica. Remember that show back in the day, Matt? I know your ass is old enough to remember. If you didn't keep up with that show and you jumped in and watched, you wouldn't know what the fuck's going on. It looks cool as shit. You got robots zapping people and shit. You got all this drama, but you don't know what the hell's going on. And I feel like their narrative is not set up enough to clearly paint to even get new viewers, to be completely honest. You got to be a day one with this fucking show and love it all in for you to even be liking it.
I would say one last thing about it, and then we can go on to what their main event is. But even when you notice that when a lot of their talent comes out, for the most part, the crowd, to be honest with you, they're not even into it. There's only a few that they will make some noise for. Of course, CM Punk, of course, Daniel. But when Ruby Soho came out, which was the next big thing, there was no pop for that. When Warlow came out, there was no pop for that. I mean, I don't know.
And they use the sweetener too.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I mean, you could tell there are points when they use a sound sweetener, and it's just like,
yeah. So then you had your main event with Andrade. It was El Idolo, yeah.
El Idolo.
Against Cody. Cody, of course, is still being booed. And in fact, I like that one fan got a big old sign right in front of him while they're fighting. Go, turn, Cody, turn. Like literally right in his face while he's, beating Andrade outside the ring. But yeah, of course he's getting booed, and of course he's doing little spots here to get himself a cheer. But it's like, who cares? And of course, the biggest part of the night is Brandy deciding to be back in the business again and lights a table with fire so that these guys can go through it.
She busted 2 canisters, mini canisters, or whatever the hell that flame shit was. She did a damn good job, to be completely honest with you. I've seen a lot of people fuck that up bad, and she did an excellent job. Was it needed, though? And I know we've talked about this before. Matt, was it needed?
Let me just read what this person had to say. Cody via pinfall. Cody via pinfall. Reverse superplex through a flaming table. That match was absolute insanity. It was a terrific brawl, but that finish was unbelievable, and I didn't see it coming. 4 stars.
How many stars are they rating this? Is this the same dude?
Yeah, same dude.
How many stars?
I don't know. I guess 4 stars is.
But by the way, when you go through a table that is on fire, and then you become on fire because you've got the lightning on you as well, the lighter fluid, and you're now on fire. Does that seem believable that you now are the one that you're the one that's going to win the match in that particular manner?
No. And Cody Rhodes is the only one who can win matches, apparently.
Okay.
Mind you, too, when he covered Idolo for the pin, his left shoulder was still on fire. Idolo had to cover it and put that mug out. I don't know at this point, what does Cody have to do to solidify that he will give his body, his blood, and everything for AEW at this point?
It's not for whoa. It's not for AEW. It's for Cody's own fucking ego and the shit that he's, doing. Listen, his who's the fucking co-host on that stupid game show or whatever the fuck he does? He's in the building.
With T-Pain and all them.
T-Pain, that's right. Yeah. So it's like you had that. You have him come in. You have him do this brawl that really was just not really impressive, to be honest. Andrade is someone again who you brought in from WWE. Oh, look, they're going to do so many good things with this guy, and he's now just constantly losing to Cody. So that's a fucking burial right there.
Yeah.
But on top of everything, and this is the point that really pisses me off to no end, is the guy can't get himself over. So what do? We light a table on fire to get myself over. Because nobody is talking about that fact that he pinned Andrade, who was supposed to be one of your fucking guys that you were going to be building.
Right.
It's absurd. It's fucking absurd.
You know what? I'll say this, and I'm not going to say anything more about AEW. First thing is I'm going to try something new. Next week, the only first wrestling show I watch for the week is going to be AEW. And then I'll do what you do, Impact. And on Saturday, I'll watch everything else. And I'm going to see if I like it more or interested in more. But the second thing I say,
go into it with an open mind.
I'm always open. I turned on the TV.
Because see, I always have to tell myself, like, this is going to be tough for you, but let's pretend now that you're one of the marks in the audience and you're excited to see this. And now they're presenting you with material that you're excited to see, and judge it from that point. And I always come out just being disappointed. And I feel like I really am trying. Okay.
All right, fair enough. Now
even when they did I even say this. I go back. I'm sorry, man. Even when they did the part where Orange Cassidy does this little light kicks or whatever, and all the fans go, "Oh, okay." So then the Young Bucks came out, and then they did that same thing. They did the tiny little kicks, and everybody's like, "Whoa!" I'm like, "Okay, I'm pretending now. Like, okay, this is really exciting. So let's see, okay." Because listen, man, all this is supposed to be disbelief, but they make a jokery to me. They make more of a jokery of it than it's supposed to be. That's really the problem. WWE lives in a world where you really can take yourself out of it. You really can, look when Brock and Sammy and see that interaction and really go, man, this shit looks like it's real legit. Versus when they go in there and they do shit, it really looks like it's bad theater. And it takes you out of that disbelief. That's the problem I think that happens with me.
But you got to understand one thing that is just an unbelievable fucking thought process, and that is, so when you watch the WWE, they've branded themselves for years as sports entertainment.
Yeah.
Okay. So there should be just a broad horizon of different things on the show. But you've also been able to watch the product for 40 years, right? Or you can go on the network and catch stuff, from all throughout its history. Mm-hmm. And the one thing that it has common thread is that it's always had hokey shit because it's a superhero story. It's a fucking come to life comic book.
Right, right.
The thing with AEW is that these fans think that this is wrestling. This is really wrestling. Like, this is amazing. And the fact of the matter is that, yeah, Orange Cassidy could do that because the character's great, because, you know, he's a wrestler. If that character existed in WWE's universe, they would be, well, that's sports entertainment, so it's shit. That's all this is. And that's why I say, Simon, that's what gets me mad about that idea of the clear line drawn here is that no matter what the WWE does, they're going to always say it's shit. But whatever AEW does, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. And you'll see, like, guys who wrote this article, or, you know, recap, not even article, just a fucking recap. It's like 4 stars, 3 stars, nothing ever below that. And just in principle alone, the segment between Jericho backstage and the fact that it took 3 guys to beat up Jericho, and one's the tag team 2.0, who I honestly do not know their names. I just know it's a number. I also, you know, assume that they call themselves 2.0 because of the fact that they knew NXT was going to be calling themselves 2.0. So it's a little inside dig as well. These guys beat up Jericho, who's apparently, you know, one of your guys who could fall off a cage, hurt his elbow, and still go through and beat, like, you know, 4 consecutive guys to face MJF and beat MJF in a blow-off match.
Right.
So what the fuck?
Well,
does it make any sense?
Well, I do agree with you on the not making no sense at times. But I was going to say, what I think the biggest problem with AEW is number one, they do need to be happy of the fact that right now, we're not the only people with a podcast that give a lot of criticism or feedback on AEW. There's a lot. It don't take much. But I will say the lesson is learned for a lot of people who left WWE to start AEW. Sometimes you can have all the potential in the world, but if you don't have the right people providing the proper direction, you can definitely make more problems for yourself. And everything that you have planned that sounds good may be muddled down in the details. And I think that's what's happening with AEW. I feel like there's a lot of potential. A lot of these guys that's on here and women, they do have some potential. I just feel like they don't have any good sound direction. Now, does that fall to Cody and all of them who are executives, Tony Khan? Most likely. I feel like that's where the change needs to happen. And they're definitely
well,
need to
it's not
find
going to
people.
happen. Whoa. It's not going to happen.
You don't
This
think
is their
they're
structure.
capable?
No, of course not, because it's already, this is their structure. And Tony Khan has now made it very evident that he is the booker and what he says goes. And, you know, I'm sure the EVPs, the people who have any kind of like production credit into it, they probably have say over their matches. You know, they have Hogan control basically. So, you know, Jericho and the Bucks and Omega and Cody, maybe Hangman, they're going to say pretty much, and probably at this point, Punk and Danielson, they would have been stupid to sign contracts and not say, hey, I'm going to tell you exactly what I want when I want it. So if you look at that, then the difference is that, so everyone that goes to AEW, the reason that they're going there is because it's quote unquote a different backstage environment. It's a different type of place. And one of the reasons it's like that is because you have a boss who doesn't want to piss people off. He wants to be buddies. And that's going to be a problem.
Can't do that with your management. Yeah. If you're going to run a successful company, you can't be people's buddies. Plain and simple. In fact, that's the first sign that you're not capable of running a company. I don't care what you do, wrestling or otherwise. It's a business. You have to make tough decisions.
And he hangs his hat on the idea of when they went up against SmackDown and beat them in, numbers on cable stations. He hangs his hat that, yeah, we did that and we could probably do more, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, what you don't realize is that you're going to get your fan base hyped up, and those people are going to tune in for a higher clip if you're going against the WWE, because that's their enemy. But even if you did that on a regular basis, if you face the WWE head on a regular basis, you're not going to continuously win, because after 2 or 3 weeks, it's going to wear off. Your new people who came over to check out this hot thing is going to realize that there's no cohesiveness. There's no background on any of these wrestlers. You just assume everyone knows who a Tony Nese is or a Bobby Fish. Who the fuck was Bobby Fish to anyone if you didn't watch NXT?
That's right.
And then a guy like Steve will say, well, Bobby Fish had a long, storied career in ROH and, had a blah, blah. Who the fuck watches that?
But here's the thing, though. It's funny you mentioned Bobby Fish, because when he came to NXT, obviously he came paired with Kyle O'Reilly. They took the opportunity to kind of, without going in detail, all of his accomplishments and who he was called, him and Kyle O'Reilly, before coming over. Do you see what I'm saying? So at least that gives a little bit of insight, but they let that grow progressively. It wasn't just they the top tag team off the bat. They wasn't winning championships in NXT right when they debuted. And I think
I'll give you even a further example of what they should be doing on AEW. And that is exactly what you saw tonight during NXT. And that was promos. Every fucking break, at least on our end, the non-commercial end, you got 2 promos of wrestlers just to fucking know who these new people that you've never possibly seen or heard of before are going to be showing up on your TV in the next couple of weeks to a month or so.
And
Tiffany Stratton has still got the daddy's girl thing, which is going to be fabulous to see if that actually goes anywhere.
Well, and it's funny you say, because NXT did the same thing with the gentleman from Inglewood on the previous NXT on Wednesday, and they've been doing that with new people, and I think that does to introduce you.
These are all videos that have been shown within the last 3 weeks on NXT.
Yep.
And that's a smart way for people who are not getting the commercials. Show these videos, and that will get the kids more focused in on, oh yeah, I can't wait to see this.
And it was even cool too, because even before the match, his opponent had even stated the same thing in his promo as well. Or Solo, he mentioned the same thing. He might be from Inglewood, but he's facing, so things like that can build on one another. So I agree with you 100% on that, Matt, which doesn't happen often.
All right, guys, we're gonna jump right over into Impact Wrestling. And we finally got a chance to see one of the tape shows that was out here in Vegas. Last week, we talked about the fact that why are you looking at me like that?
Oh, they had it before Wrestle House.
No, I know that.
They've had the tape shows since October, buddy.
No, I know. I know it. And
what are you trying to convey?
The idea with just transitioning from Wrestle House to getting another tape show. They've had quite a few tape shows, and I'm actually speaking more of the tape shows that came after Turning Point, not the tape shows that were coming from Bound for Glory. So I don't know which ones are which. I was thinking more of Turning Point. So yeah. I'm assuming they're on Turning Point show on TV shows, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's what I was thinking of when I was saying we're finally now getting to those tape shows. I guess I should have been more specific on that, but nevertheless, there was no Wrestle House. It was the main point. We went back into some of the tape shows, and it kicked off, of course. Moose and Matt Cardona was in the ring, and looked like they're about to have their whole thing. And one of the things Moose told Matt Cardona that he should change his name to Mid Cardona, because that's all he would pretty much be. Boy, he'd be hitting Matt Cardona hard on that, keeping him saying he's gonna be a mid card. But anyway, they had they kicked off the show there, and then you got a chance to see Jay Vidal was actually had a match against Jonah, and so it was kind of cool to see him again, a local guy. More time.
It wasn't a match.
Right.
That was a massacre.
That's the second local person from FSW in what, a month, right? Because then they have what do you call it? They had somebody else about a month ago. Sandra Moon. I'm tripping. Sandra Moon.
Yeah, her
was that like a month?
Her match hasn't aired yet.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, don't watch those videos.
Her match, and it won't be on the main show. I think it's on one of the internet shows or smaller shows. Yeah.
Oh, well, they're missing out.
But yeah, it was cool to see him back there, talking with Scott D'Amore, saying, "Hey man, put me on the match. I'm all dressed." And Scott told him, "I don't think you want to fight this dude," but Vidal wanted to get in the ring, and it was a massacre. Jonah did what he does best, and it was great to see him. Jonah called out Moose and Josh Alexander, and man, I think this is probably when Josh is going to probably take his another loss. I don't like Josh losing. I always see him as a winner.
And if you would have gone to the tapings, you would already know. And I can't say anything to tell you what happened.
I know. But anyway, that came out well. And then, of course, at the very end of the show, I guess the whole idea is Moose has been trying to keep W. Morrissey on his side, pretty much to keep, Moose trying to make sure he holds on to the belt. So he's going to keep promising Morrissey that, hey, if you help me out, you're going to be the next one who's going to get this title shot. And Morrissey always seems to be there, but yet this title shot never seems to happen. So finally at this main event this past week, where there was Morrissey and Moose, they tagged against Eddie Edwards and Matt Cardona. And I guess after Eddie Edwards went ahead and pinned Moose, then W. Morrissey attacked Moose at the end. So yeah, I guess that whole thing's going to come to an end. W. Morrissey wants his title shot. We'll see where that goes eventually. But that was this past week's show. So for everyone that's already seen the 4, 8, 10, 12, 20 tapings, you already know how all this is going to come out. Nevertheless, it was a good show from Impact Wrestling. We have nothing on New Japan, and I didn't look for nothing, and we don't have Sin City Steve. So as far as we know, there's no New Japan news.
AAA did run their big show. I think it was Saturday night. Yeah, last night. Saturday night. So FTR did retain their tag championships.
Okay.
And some other tag team won some. They beat a few of the name guys from AEW or Impact or something. So there's the really, really nuanced and very detailed AAA response
okay
to their show. But yeah, if you want to see what happened with AAA, check them out. Go online and look it up. NWA had
that's right. Their event, the pay-per-view.
Yeah, and speaking of the champ, Trevor Murdoch retained his title, and then was I believe beat down by one Matt Cardona.
So death match, Matt Cardona.
Yeah, they're allowing Matt to go out and make his mark known as in as many companies as possible. So
Yeah.
But you did see Mick Foley showed up on that
Okay.
show as well,
Yeah.
as kind of a enforcer for that main event.
Gotcha.
And there were some other names that I can't come off the top of my head with, but
Hard times too, right? Hard times too.
Yeah.
Didn't the Pope get hurt and had to be hospitalized or something like that?
I don't know, but you'd have to call the Vatican and find out.
Oh
no, they were just saying
that's why that would be something that like Madcap would say.
Yeah.
And I would love that. That's a great line. I would sit back and just laugh at shit like that because that shit is funny,
Yeah, as long as it was coming out of someone else's mouth except Madcap.
Oh, you really hate on Madcap? I like Madcap.
Dude, okay. Seriously, put together Madcap, Rick Boogs, and Elias. There you go. There's a tag team that those guys don't even need masks to just kind of go in and out, and the ref wouldn't know who it was.
Oh man, I don't know about all that, but I like them together, man. Corbin and Madcap. Is there any like FSW things news you want to give out at all, or?
No, really, Limitless is going down at the FSW arena on the 10th.
Okay.
So, and Trey Miguel will be defending the X Division title, I believe, is the plan.
Oh wow.
They'll be doing that there. And as of right now, Davey Richards is supposed to be on the show, which we'll know more of for sure on Wednesday on the DeFalco Files. As of right now, we're supposed to talk to Davey on the show. So we'll see. But Davey Richards had some broken ribs, I think it was. Just happened like a week or so ago. So he had to pull out of shows this weekend. So hopefully he won't be affected for Limitless. So, but again, we'll have more knowledge on what's happening there on Wednesday on the DeFalco Files.
Perfect. All right, guys, thank you for hanging out with us. That was our wrestling talk. If you're listening to us live, we'll be back soon with 3 Count. And if you're listening to our podcast, make sure you download Tuesday's episode of 3 Counts, where it's going to be 3 good topics. With that, thank you for hanging out with us. We will see you next week. We hopefully should have the whole full crew. So it'll be more entertaining when we can beat Sin City down with "Why the hell do you watch this stuff?" type comments. All right.